Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Dave from MyGunValues.com, and today got kind of a neat little gun here. You might think from the box it's new. It's not. What we have here is a modern model 1894 Marlin. In 45 Colt. I was at an auction here a few weeks ago and was able to pick this up for a reasonable price. You can see from the tag it is for sale. Couple things about this gun, this particular gun. The former owner wanted to compete in cowboy action competition, so he's changed out the springs. As a result, when you work the action, this is the safety. For those of you who've never seen this, that's kind of the safety on the Marlin. You got to keep this closed. Well, most of the time they'll lock up okay, but if you change out the spring tension, sometimes they don't. And this gun, you have to hold it closed. It's really not a handicap. It works fine. The original springs are in the box. It's kind of set for a mid-bead sight setting at 100 yards, which for those of you who don't know, a mid-bead, you hold the brass bead up here in the middle of the buckhorn sight, kind of in the middle, not down at the bottom, not all the way up at the top. And that usually works best at 100 yards, at least with the ammunition. We'll just take a quick second to discuss ammo. We're shooting 45 Colt cast 20-to-1. These are the round nose flat points like you would see in a standard 45 Colt, and they're 20-to-1, and this particular batch is loaded with 6 grains of red dot powder and standard large pistol primers, Federal in this case. So that's the load we're using. Standard 45 Colt. You do have to, if you're hand loading these, overall length is critical. You can't have a really long bullet because it won't work through the action of the gun. This particular model, straight grip wood stock, plain, no checkering, octagon barrel, 20-inch octagon barrel. And let's see if I can hit anything with this thing. That's a satisfying sound. Hi, that was my fault. I know I've mentioned this before, but because I don't have anybody operating the cameras, with the gong, unfortunately, you just kind of have to listen for it. Let's see if we can break some clays here. There we go. I thought that was it. Fun little gun to shoot. Accurate if you do your part. When I shoot 45 Colt, I like to shoot the RCBS 45-270 SAA bullet. It is too long to work through this action, so I shoot these. No reason not to shoot jacketeds if you don't hand load. It's not an old rifle. Cast bullets don't gain anything. It's just, I like doing it. So, a little history on the 1894. Well, before we do that, let's discuss cleaning. The muzzleloaders, boy, I'm doing good today. The lever actions of old always had a problem, the Winchesters, in that you cleaned them from the muzzle. If you didn't use a bore guide, you know, I've lost count of the number of lever actions I've seen where they've cleaned them from the muzzle without a bore guide, and the end of the bore is just worn out. I mean, it's bigger around than the bullet. You might hit a piece of plywood at 100 yards, but that's about as good as it gets. So the nice thing about the Marlin is if you take out this screw, take off the buttstock, which is this screw right here, the buttstock will pull off. Take out this screw, take out your lever, that bolt will slide right out and you can clean it from the breech end, push the gunk out, you don't get it on the wood, you don't get it into the action. Piece of cake. You know, it really is a solid rifle design. Now, you know, we've been brainwashed in this century to think, you know, the world revolved and the sun set on Winchester in the 1800s. What nobody knows today is just how popular Marlin was. You know, Marlin gave Winchester a run on lever actions with their model 1881, which was chambered in 4570. It took John Browning until 1886 to bail them out with their large lever action that would chamber 4570. You know, Marlin was just as popular as Winchester in the day, or at least a really close second. They really competed with each other. The old 94s, or 1894 model designation lasted from 1894 through 1905. And then in 1906, they shortened it to 94. 2 less letters to stamp, probably saved a penny or two in production costs, and everybody still knew what it was. The originals in this gun were chambered in 2520, 3220, 3840, and 4440. And it was actually Marlin who used those designations. It's kind of funny. It's probably just easier to say 3220, 4440 and such. Marlin really kind of took over the naming from Winchester, because Winchester, of course, called them 25 WCF, 32 WCF, 38 WCF, and 44 WCF. Well, it's more syllables, it's harder to say, so the 3840, 4440, and so on stuck. So that's where that comes from. So these lasted until 1935, and then they were gone. The day of the lever action had faded. You know, we weren't seeing the lever actions anymore. And, you know, the bolt action became king. The Winchester Model 70 and the like became popular. We didn't have the Remington 700 yet. We had the Mauser actions being imported from Europe. So we'll leave that at that. We'll leave that story at that juncture for the moment. See if we can break a few more things here. Now let's see if we can break a water bottle. There we go. Took the top right off of that one. Up. Out to the side. It's my fault. There we go. Yep, I thought that was it. So we're back at World War II. Coming up to World War II, and of course, all civilian production pretty much stopped up through, it took till about 47, 48 for most of the retooling to happen and large production quantities to start coming off. And the lever action was considered pretty much dead. Winchester still made the Model 94. They were making the Model 71, which was an upgraded Model 1886. Marlin was still making their 36, which was a 3030. But the bolt action had taken over, or so everybody thought. Then along came the cowboy westerns of the 50s and 60s and 70s. Gunsmoke, the Rifleman, whatever. And all of a sudden, here you go. The lever action's really back in vogue. And what happens is those kids who saw those movies in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and those television shows, you fast forward to the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, And those kids are now adults, and they want those lever actions that they watched growing up. So when Marlin brought a version of the 94 back, and they called it the 1894, and I believe it was 1986. 1984, 1986, 357 mag, 45 Colt. They have made some 4440s. The other chamberings really haven't come back. They're using more modern loads, but they've come back. They're making them. They're actually reasonably priced when compared to the Winchester. They're less money than when you compare the Winchester, and they're built in this country, whereas the Winchesters are now built in Japan. Still a quality firearm. Two different kinds of riflings. I want to mention that, and this is not going to show up on camera. I'm not even going to try. You have what are called micro groove barrels, and you have what are called deep cut Ballard Rifling. Ballard Rifling is a flat lands and grooves arrangements like anything else you've ever seen. Micro groove is all those little tiny triangular lands in a barrel, and there's like 12 or 14 of them around a 22 barrel. If you're going to shoot cast bullets, it's generally accepted, and I found this to be true, the Ballard Rifling usually does better with cast than does the micro groove. So it's just something to consider for future reference. So let's see if we can finish off the rest of them clays and bottles. But first, let's ring the gong a few more times. Or try to. Okay. There we go. Oh, I don't know how many of you saw that, but when I hit that clay, I actually hit my bottle upright too. And it tilted over to the side. There's more than a few welds on those where I've hit them. They're just mild steel. So that's just a short little history of the Marlin 1894. It really is a quality gun, even to, by today's standards, and back in the day, it was equal to the Winchester. Winchester has the name, but if you're looking for a lever action to have fun with, I'd suggest a Marlin. You can usually pick up an old Marlin cheaper than you can an old Winchester, assuming the conditions are similar. So I've mentioned this a million times, straight grip stock, no pistol grip, no checkering. Of course, on our special notes section, it'll say no checkering. But that's pretty much it. Just a good, solid lever action rifle. It's great to have some fun with, take out to the range, and if it's your cup of tea, certainly good for deer out to 100 yards or so, depending on how good your eyes are with the open sights. I want to thank you for watching. We couldn't do this without the support and our membership on the MyGunValues.com website. If you have any comments or questions, please keep them clean. You can post them here to YouTube, and you can contact us with questions through the MyGunValues.com webpage. I do want to mention, I'm still learning how to edit. Our video editor is, the health problems continue there. So we're doing the best we can do and trying to keep up with everything else we have to do. So I apologize for the sporadic nature of the videos right now, but we are trying to get as many up as we can. Thank you for watching.